two footballing giants, two World Cup favorites, and one match that has sent shockwaves across the entire football world just weeks before the biggest tournament on the planet kicks off. Brazil versus France, played on March 26, 2026, at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. This was not just a friendly, this was a statement match. And what a statement France made, winning 2-1, despite playing with 10 men for almost the entire second half. We are going to break down everything: the lineups, the goals, the drama, the red card, the injury, and what this result means for both countries heading into the 2026 World Cup. Let's get into it. Before we talk about what happened on the pitch, let's understand why this match was so significant. The 2026 FIFA World Cup is being hosted in the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and it kicks off in less than 80 days from the date of this match. This was one of the very last major test matches for both teams before they finalize their World Cup squads and start serious tournament preparation. Over 66,000 fans packed into Gillette Stadium, a massive crowd, with the majority dressed in the famous yellow and green of Brazil. In fact, it was the second largest crowd ever to watch a football match at that ground. The atmosphere was electric, and the match absolutely lived up to it. Now let's talk about what both managers had to deal with before a ball was even kicked. For Brazil, manager Carlo Ancelotti, yes, the legendary Italian who managed Real Madrid, was already dealing with a long injury list going into this game. First-choice goalkeeper Alisson Becker was out. Defender Gabriel Magalhaes of Arsenal was out. Left-back Alexandro was out. And captain Marquinhos was also not fully fit. On top of all that, Brazil's record goalscorer Neymar was not even selected. Ancelotti choosing to leave him out entirely and give opportunities to younger players. This was not Brazil at full strength, not even close. And yet the expectation was still that Brazil's attack, led by Vinicius Jr. and Raphinha, would be enough to compete with France. For France, manager Didier Deschamps also had some issues. Defenders William Saliba and Jules Koundé were both missing through injury. But apart from those absences, Deschamps was able to put out very close to his strongest possible 11. And that difference in squad availability would end up mattering a great deal. Let's go through the starting lineups for both sides. Brazil lined up in a 4-2-3-1 formation under Ancelotti. In goal, Ederson, the Manchester City goalkeeper. The back four was Wesley at right back, Gleison Bremer and Leo Pereira as the two central defenders, and Douglas Santos at left back. In the double pivot, that means the two defensive midfielders, it was the experienced Casemiro as captain, alongside young André Santos. In the attacking midfield positions were Raphinha on the right, Gabriel Martinelli on the left, and Matheus Cunha in the number 10 role. Vinicius Jr. was the lone striker up front. France went with the same 4-2-3-1 system. In goal, Mike Maignan of AC Milan. The back four, Malo Gusto at right back, Ibrahima Konate and Dayot Upamecano as centre-backs, and Theo Hernandez on the left. In midfield, Aurelien Tchouameni and Adrien Rabiot as the two holding midfielders. And then the attack, this is where it gets frightening. Ousmane Dembele, Michael Olise and Hugo Ekitike across the front, with Kylian Mbappe as the striker. One of the most terrifying attacking lineups in international football history. In terms of how both teams played, there were two completely different philosophies on show. France, under Deschamps, are a fast, direct counter-attacking team. They do not mess around. They press high, win the ball quickly, and then transition at lightning speed. with Mbappe, Dembele, and Olise all capable of running at defenders in open space. They are devastating on the break. They are disciplined, organized, and experienced in big matches. Brazil under Ancelotti have been transitioning to a more possession-based style, trying to control games and build patiently from the back. However, in this match, Brazil did the opposite. They sat deep in a low defensive block, meaning they packed their own half with players and tried to absorb French pressure. This was a surprise. With Vinicius and Raphinha up front, most fans expected Brazil to press and attack. Instead, they were cautious, and that caution, combined with defensive errors, cost them. The first half was not a great spectacle. Brazil barely created anything going forward. In fact, they did not register a single shot on target in the entire first 45 minutes. Let that sink in. A Brazil team with Vinicius Jr. and Raphinha, and not one shot on target. France were dominant in possession, having nearly 65 to 70% of the ball for long spells. But even they struggled to break through Brazil's defensive wall at first. Then came the moment that changed everything. The 32nd minute. Aurélien Tchouameni won the ball aggressively in the middle of the pitch. Dembele instantly picked it up and played a perfectly weighted through ball in behind Brazil's defensive line. Mbappe was onto it in a flash, running clear one-on-one with goalkeeper Ederson. And what did Mbappe do? He chipped it, beautifully, calmly, right over Ederson's outstretched hand and into the net. It was a goal only Mbappe could score, cool, composed, and devastating. France won to Brazil 0 at half-time. And then, the injury. At exactly half-time, the 45th minute, Raphinha was substituted off. He had been the brightest player for Brazil in the first half, creating small moments, trying to drag his teammates forward. But he left the pitch holding his right thigh, clearly in pain. The whole stadium noticed, and the concern was immediate. This is one of the biggest stories to come out of this match, and it has massive consequences for both Brazil and Barcelona. Raphinha was taken off at half-time after complaining of pain in the posterior area of his right thigh. Initial reports from the Brazil camp said he was already receiving treatment for fatigue even before the game started. He was taken off purely to, in their words, avoid greater risks. But the tests done the next day confirmed the worst: a right hamstring muscle injury. He will now return to FC Barcelona for treatment and has been officially ruled out of Brazil's next friendly against Croatia. Now here is why this is so alarming. Barcelona have confirmed he will miss approximately 5 weeks, which means he will be out for the rest of March and all of April. That means he misses multiple La Liga matches, the Champions League quarter-finals against Atletico Madrid, and could even be short of match fitness for El Clasico in May. For a man who is arguably one of the 2 or 3 best players in the world right now, this is a devastating blow. And for Brazil, with the World Cup starting in less than 80 days, Raphinha needs to recover, get back to full fitness, and rediscover his best form. There is no time to waste. The second half started with Brazil sensing an opportunity. Ancelotti made changes, bringing on Chelsea's João Pedro to add more attacking threat. Brazil started to play higher up the pitch, pressing more and creating chances for the first time. And then, the moment everyone was waiting for, in the 55th minute, a red card. Defender Dayot Upamecano brought down Brazil's right-back Wesley as he was running clean, through on goal with nobody between him and the goalkeeper. The referee initially showed a yellow card, but VAR, which stands for Video Assistant Referee, meaning there is an official watching the game on screens and reviewing decisions, stepped in and asked the referee to look at the monitor again. After reviewing the footage, The yellow was upgraded to a straight red card. Upamecano was off. France were down to 10 men, with nearly 35 minutes still to play. Brazil had their lifeline. The crowd of 66,000, mostly in yellow, went absolutely wild. This was their moment, a man advantage for the final third of the match. Surely Brazil would come back. But what happened next was extraordinary. France, with 10 men, scored again. In the 65th minute, Michael Olise drove forward from the halfway line, cut through the Brazilian defense, and slipped the ball perfectly into the path of Hugo Ekitike, the Liverpool striker, who lifted it calmly over Ederson. 2-0 to France. With 10 men, Brazil were shell-shocked. The crowd fell silent. Brazil were not done, though. They fought until the very end, which is the Brazilian spirit. In the 78th minute, substitute Luis Henrique, who had been Brazil's best player after coming on, whipped in a dangerous cross from the right, and Gleison Bremer, the Juventus defender, threw himself at it and bundled the ball past Maignan. 2-1. Brazil were back in it with 12 minutes left. Luis Henrique then had a thunderous shot saved by Maignan. Gabriel Martinelli went close, and in the dying seconds, the very last play of the game, Vinicius Jr. had a chance to equalize, but fired wide. The final whistle blew. France won 2-1, despite playing with 10 men for 35 minutes. According to the match statistics, Brazil had 17 total shots compared to France's 7. But France had better shots, more clinical, more decisive. Brazil had 46% possession. France had 54%. And Brazil only managed 4 shots on target compared to France's 3, despite having a numerical advantage for most of the second half. And now, the big question. What does this result tell us about both teams heading into the 2026 World Cup? For France, this was the perfect result. They came to America, played on the same pitch, where they will face Norway in the World Cup group stage, and beat one of the most famous football nations in the world, with 10 men. Kylian Mbappe showed his knee injury is behind him. He scored, he dominated, and he left the stadium looking like the best player in the world. Hugo Ekitike, who has been Liverpool's top scorer this season, proved he belongs at international level. And Michael Olise showed exactly why he is one of the most dangerous players in the entire tournament. France looked like the team to beat. Organized, ruthless, clinical, and they have not even fully hit top gear yet. For Brazil, this was a serious warning. Their qualifying campaign was their worst in history. 6 defeats, finishing 5th in the South American group. They have won just 2 of their last 6 international matches. Their defense looked vulnerable on both flanks, exactly what the previews predicted. Without a full squad, without Alisson, without Gabriel, without Marquinhos, the cracks showed. Ancelotti has a huge job to get this team ready in time. And now with Raphinha injured, Brazil's most influential attacker is a major doubt for their early World Cup form. The good news is, they still have Vinicius Jr., who never stopped running and never stopped fighting. He was not at his best in this game, but a fit, fired-up Vinicius at the World Cup is still one of the most dangerous things in football. Brazil have not won the World Cup since 2002. That is a 24-year drought. The pressure is enormous, and results like this one, losing to 10-man France, will not ease that pressure. But the World Cup is a different tournament. One great performance can change everything, and Brazil know that better than anyone. This was my complete match breakdown of Brazil 1 to France 2 from Gillette Stadium. A match with everything: world-class goals, a red card, a major injury, and a result that has the football world talking. If you found this video helpful and want more World Cup coverage like this, team analyses, match breakdowns, and player deep dives, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. More content coming very soon. See you in the next one.